And away we go. It is the BCJ podcast. Sorry, the pre-show got a little out of hand. Right here on BearcatJournal.com. This show, as always, live from the Cincy Light Studios and brought to you by our good friends at the Holy Grail. Going to a Reds game? There's no better place to pregame or postgame than the Holy Grail. They will get you taken care of. They have great food, ice cold drinks, and of course, delicious Cincy Light on tap. And remember, 50 cents from every Cincy Light purchased at the Holy Grail will be donated back into the Cincy Reigns NIL Collective. All right. Well, how's it going, Dave?
It's going great. I would say in honor of the American Nightmare and this weekend's showcase of the Immortals, I want to say, so Cincinnati, what do you want to talk about?
We have a lot to talk about today, which is a good thing.
Football and basketball.
Yeah, you want to start what? You want to start with football?
Wherever direction you want to go. I'm open to either.
Let me get this tweet out.
Whatever you want to do.
I mean, there's one of two ways to do this, Dave. Like we could do the like the programmer in me would say that everybody's going to be here to talk about one thing.
I agree.
To listen to one thing.
Let's hear my take on the Spring Spectacular, right?
Right. So we should probably take that thing and move it to later in the show so that people have to wait, right? Like that's you
don't put the main event first.
No. That doesn't make any sense. Like everybody will
build.
Right, and everybody's not here yet. So, if we talk about that, then we're going to have a bunch of people later asking us to talk about the same thing that we've already talked about. So,
Bearcat 101, I think because we actually have like a lot of things to talk about that we didn't probably anticipate having to talk about, I'm going to cover that next week.
We can do a little bit. Well, yeah, next week. Actually, next week is perfect because the draft is Thursday and we're here Wednesday.
And
I don't know how much
spring practice will be over. We're going to talk about the spring whatever showcase. We're going to talk about basketball portal stuff. Like, not sure exactly how much we'll have next week unless a bunch of commits or something happen in the next 6 days. But I think which could, I'm not saying it won't, but I think we're going to have a harder time filling 1.5 to 2 hours next Wednesday than we are tonight.
I think that's fair. Let's just go ahead and, we'll go ahead and get to it. This is a favor to you guys because I do want to make you wait, but, I also want to, I want to keep the people happy. Big Slime. We haven't gotten your Big Slime thoughts, Dave. So we do have, I do want to give a little time for people to get in here. By the way, I did ask somebody today. I get this a lot. When is Day going to announce that he's returning? It cracks me up because if I remember back to like 2 years ago, Dave, what are these guys doing? Why do they have to announce that they're coming back? Why don't they're here. They don't have to announce anything. I asked somebody in the know today and they said, I don't even know if he's going to post anything.
Well, and I would also add to that, there are guys going in the portal all the time, obviously. But I feel like as a guard, you would want to get in as quick as possible.
Yeah.
So, like, if he's not in by now with 6 days left, 5 days left for it to get in, again, who knows? The portal's a wild place. But, like, if he's not in yet, I think conventional wisdom would say he's probably not entering.
Yeah. I have no indication that he's not going to be back. I've not had one person tell me even like it's up in the air or like he's deciding or like, the coaches have met with Day-Day and Day-Day is weighing his options and like he's leaning to come back. Like all I have heard is the expectation is Day-Day is a Bearcat in 2020.
Yeah, I mean, the season ended 10 plus days ago. Like, if you're not leaving the Bearcats by now, like, I don't think you're leaving.
Look, I could be wrong on this.
Sure.
He might end up, but there is no indication from anybody I've talked to that it's even like up in the air on whether he stays or goes. Now, shit, crazy stuff can happen. And with the Eagles staff kid,
South Carolina
that decommitted, committed to South Carolina, then decommitted. I've heard Kentucky for him
when they didn't get the Sam Houston dude that went to Indiana.
So crazy. Like we will get. This will be a continuing theme the rest of this show. This shit is insane.
Yeah, it's all just the transfer portal is subject to change. Just that's the end of that's the line.
I was joking with somebody today about like some of these people that we used to see around AAU events that like literally were like avoid that guy if possible. Like that guy's nuts or like and they're all agents now.
Yeah.
Like they're all in charge of all this shit. It is fucking insanity. I was joking with a friend of mine in the business that I'm going to just quit what I'm doing and I'm going to become an agent. And because looking at these guys that are now agents, Dave, you don't need any qualifications to be an agent. You just need clients.
Well, clearly there's no vetting process if these kids and their families are willing to give them 20%.
Right. Well, like Christian Dawkins is an agent.
Yeah.
He went to jail for the FBI scandal.
He went to federal pound me in the you-know-what penitentiary.
So if you guys see me not here anymore, prepare for in a couple months, you're going to hear so-and-so is being recruited by XXXXX schools, according to his representation, Chad Brendel, of What the Fuck Are We Doing Sports.
I feel like you and I should start one. We'll be agency and search firm, and we'll call it Rough Riders International.
It's wild.
No limit Cash Money Holdings or like no limit Incorporated.
Oh, to the 99 and 2000.
Some early 2000s rap company name.
Have you seen the new trend on TikTok? They just start playing Back That Ass Up.
No, you could have stopped at the TikTok part.
It's funny though. It's all Gen X people or millennials, like elder millennials, Gen X. Yeah. And they'll just start playing Back That Ass Up. And it's like they've got 10 seconds to get wherever they need to get so they can start twerking. Like, oh shit. Which is an imitation of if you're our age, you'd be in the bathroom and that song would come on and everybody would be like, dance floor.
I'm technically at the very, very start of the millennial, but I call myself a Gen X. I don't associate with the millennials because of the later stages that where it went just downhill. So yeah, I'm Gen X. Adopted Gen X.
But anyhow, back to Day-Day. I there has been no indication that he is looking around. So if something crazy happens in the next 6 days, and I end up being wrong, that's on me. But I just don't have even a remote piece of info that's like, keep an eye on this because we're not sure. All indications are that everybody in the program expects him to come back, including Day-Day Thomas. But stranger things have happened. So, that's just where it's at. You don't have to ask me. My answer is the same. I expect him to be a Bearcat until I hear otherwise. If I hear otherwise, I'll let everybody know. But big slime, Dave, 6'8", a very generous 265. At times, sometimes he looks like he's slimmed down. Other times he looks like he's been put in, like, nobody take him to Adriatico's and let him see a Bearcat. I know Yancey used to be able to eat one of those in like a sitting.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I mean, I think, obviously I was a big proponent of some toughness, some beef. So, big meaty men slapping meats. But when you watch him play, he's not just like, he's a bigger dude. We can, speculate on weight, whatever. Not necessarily fair to him, but like, he's a bigger dude. But there are times where he's moving pretty well. I'm not going to say he's going to get up and down and this isn't going to become the Showtime Lakers with Big Slime, but like, he's not just a wait till he gets down the court, then he's going to back his guy in and get a phone book off the ground. I mean, I've seen clips where he's active in pick and roll, where they've done the fake pick and roll and he's done the slip. A lot of stuff where he's on one side of the basket underneath and is able to reverse to the other side. I've
seen him drop dimes between his leg as he's doing the handoff, fake handoff between the legs, bounce pass, open three.
I think the other thing too is you and I have always talked about what is real expectations or realistic expectations when a player comes up to the Big 12. And the A10 is right in there at that just next level down, I would say, with like the Mountain West and the AAC.
Yeah.
George Mason had a really, really good year. We're in the finals of the A10 tournament, lost to VCU. So he's not a compiler where he's like the best dude on a MEAC team who went 16-14, but he scored 17 points a game and got 8 rebounds a game because the rest of his team stunk. Like, he was a good player on a good team. He averaged 21 a game in the A10 tournament. I'm sure you guys talked about he had a really solid game against Duke in Cameron. And the highlights are not just like a bunch of garbage time, baskets. So, I'm encouraged on multiple levels with him. And I think it just kind of expands where I know last week I talked about it still feels like we're doing the whole sum of the parts is going to be good thing. But I do feel like these three guys, no home runs. Like, let's be honest, they probably don't have the cash to hit a home run. But I feel like they're quality ads, if you want to use the baseball analogy, doubles in the gap. And I think more than anything I look at is as much as you can be, especially with Kerr and Sincere, known quantities. Like, we're going to go into Big 12 play with a pretty good idea of what we're going to get if things go well.
Yeah.
I don't like a roster full of portal ads that the vast majority of them are coming up from more than a level of AAC, Mountain West, A10, and you're doing a lot of projecting and a lot of hope. Let's be honest. A lot of these guys that are getting added, there's a lot of hoping going on. And just the brutal honesty of it is Wes can't sit in the hope lane.
No.
He's got to sit in the known quantity lane. And if that means I wouldn't even say a different type of player, because I think I would rather sit in that lane. I'm not saying you don't take any of that type of guy, but like these three guys, I feel like I understand who they are. I understand how they fit. So I'm encouraged that maybe this roster, even incomplete as it is, because we've talked about probably still want at least one more big and at least one more guy that can shoot. I do think that this roster is shaping up to potentially fit better than last year's roster.
I think that's fair. I also think it's fair to say last year's team lacked some shit to them. It wasn't a team that had a whole lot of toughness.
I don't think that's really debatable.
Right. Kurt Kriisa got some shit to him.
There's video of
Harris,
yeah,
got some shit to him. Big Slime got some shit to him.
Yeah, I mean, it's one instance, but I know there's video out there of him and a jump ball and kind of getting into it. And I don't need that every game, but did that happen at all last year?
It happened a couple times with Paige. It was Paige's only time he would show emotion is two guys when he got tied up.
And it doesn't have to be a tie-up.
Basketball.
Two guys diving for the ball, and our guy gets up using the other guy, pushing him down, and it starts a little whatever you want to call it, not a fight, but just hey, we're not going to deal with this today. You guys can come in here or we can come into your place and you can think it's going to go one way, but that's not how it's going to go. I just felt like there was never any of that.
Well, you know what I complained about all year? They'd lose a game and I'd wait, let's see some fight. Let's see a team that's pissed off that they lost. And they would come out and it would look like the same shit.
Well, that goes to the point of that they never won after they lost.
Right.
In Big 12 play.
There was always a second loss coming.
I'm a fan of Big Slime. I think he is right in line with a lot of the things that we thought were missing from this last year's team, and get some more. Just keep stacking dudes.
Speaking of stacking dudes, Cincinnati recently had a visit from Jaden Celestine. I think it's Celestine is how I was told it was pronounced. I've been saying Celestine.
Jalen
Celestine. Celestine, yeah. I think that's how it is. I think Dan Horde corrected me today. And I think that's what he said, Celestine.
Okay.
I've been saying Celestine. Jalen Celestine. I think that's right. He's interesting because he played at Cal. He played the 3 almost exclusively at Cal. He transferred to Baylor. He played the 4 almost exclusively at Baylor. Right now, this team, as it's constructed, doesn't really have a 4 other than potentially Tyler McKinley. I think you can play Big Slime at the 4. I don't love it. Just because depending on, I think it's matchup dependent. If you're playing a bigger 4, then you can get away with it a little bit. But I don't want him chasing shooting 4s around.
No, it's okay, are we playing Houston and Iowa State? Then yeah, you can probably get away with him at the 4 a little bit. If you're playing Texas Tech and BYU, yeah, he ain't playing the 4.
Right. So they need help at the 4.
Well, I guess you could against Texas Tech if Darren Williams were still going to be there, but that doesn't seem like it's going to happen.
They got 2 guys on their team.
Who? Texas Tech?
Yeah.
Those 2 guys are really good.
Look, you could start a lot. If you got 2 guys and it's JT Toppin and Christian Anderson, I feel like I can build around them pretty confidently. But they got 2 guys on their team. Baylor until Baylor Dan return to his birthright.
That means all of the entire west side of Texas in the Big 12 has 3 players right now.
Yeah. How many dudes is Houston losing? I think actually they got JoJo Tugler back today, which look, if you're JoJo Tugler, you would have to be an absolute idiot to go anywhere else.
Especially after Juwan Roberts is graduating, Arsena is leaving.
That's the most Houston dude that Houston ever Houstoned, JoJo Tugler.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's coming back. They don't
him and Chris Senek are going to be a nice little combo inside.
Senek's really good. Really good.
Defensive guy, offensive guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard 1.2 for Dan. That's good for Dan.
That's 1.0 more than I'd pay him. I do have to say, because apparently Keegan even directly sent me a text. So I have to toot my own horn a little bit. Those Joanna and Chip Gaines TikToks are going to be fucking fire.
Fire? Yeah, fire.
He's gonna have an NLI deal doing promos for Magnolia, whatever it is.
Magnolia Farms. That's what I said. Like that, he's got to get $1 million from that. Celestine.
Yeah, that guy. He can shoot. That's why I like him.
He also went to Santa Clara. From what I've heard, a decision should come by the weekend, by like Friday, tomorrow, Friday, today, tomorrow, Friday, somewhere in there. He would add shooting to a roster that needs shooting. Do I think he's a perfect fit? No. But when you're balling on a budget and you got to make some things fit, I think it's important to remember, Dave, unless you have $15 million, your roster's not going to be perfect. You don't have the luxury
of going, I want this guy that does this thing, and I'm going to get this guy that does this thing, and this guy I feel like I'm repeating myself because I am. He's a known quantity in the Big 12.
Yeah.
And he can shoot. I don't know why we wouldn't want him on the team.
The arguments would be not a great rebounder on a team that struggled to rebound, and doesn't look like it's going to be a great rebounding team based on how they're currently constructed.
Make more baskets, you don't have to worry about rebounding.
Right. Well, you do have to worry about defensive rebounding.
Yeah, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know.
I'm bringing him in to make 3-pointers.
Right.
I'm bringing in Big Slime and hopefully some other dudes to get rebounds.
And the other thing would be he's not exactly the fleetest of foot defensively. His lateral quickness is not upper end. But I have Day Thomas and I have Sincere Harris to be dogs on defense.
Yeah.
So, you're going to have to hide somebody eventually.
Day Thomas was the best. They do different things. I mean, Aziz was a great defender because he could block shots. But, if you're just talking about making it hard for the other team, I think Day Thomas was the best defender on the team last year.
Fair.
And then you're adding the best defender in the conference, arguably. I mean, I'm sure Houston has some dudes. But, first team all Big 12 defense. I feel like the defense would take a step in that regard. You have a great on-the-ball defender, and you have a guy that you just say, go guard that team's best wing player.
Yeah.
And we'll figure out the rest.
Look, UC's guards were in hell playing West Virginia because of Sincere Harris. Hell. Whichever one he was on was in hell. I think it was Jizzle most of the time. But, so that's kind of where we're at up to the current moment. I think we've given 23 minutes or so of time for people to get in the room. There's a lot of people in the room. So, as our friends Jason and Travis would say, let's talk about it. About 4:45 today, a certain big man from a conference foe entered the transfer portal. There has been a lot of scuttlebutt behind the scenes about this being a possibility. Immediately, Cincinnati was a name that was mentioned. Things like package deal were thrown around. So here's what I know. Mustafa Cham, that's how it's pronounced, Cham.
Like
TH, the TH makes a CH sound, Cham. It's in the transfer.
Guess that.
That is not like usually a lot of these, like, if you're dealing with players from Senegal, a lot of the enunciations and sounds are the same. I have not heard that one yet, but that is how it apparently is pronounced. Mustafa Cham, who was a freshman at UCF last year. He was supposed to be a high school senior, but his position coach, who is also from Senegal, was able to get him moved up a class and get him into UCF for his freshman season this year. That assistant coach, if you are a basketball junkie, is a man named Mamadou Ndiaye. Mamadou Ndiaye played at Auburn in the late 90s. Fun fact, Dave, 99-2000, the Kenyon Martin senior year, Auburn was number 1 in the country preseason
Chris
with
Porter.
Mamadou Ndiaye.
Was that Chris Porter or was he after that?
I don't know. I don't remember. But anyhow. So shortly after Mustafa Cham entered the transfer portal, it was brought to my attention, Dave, that Mamadou Ndiaye is no longer listed as an assistant coach on the Central Florida staff. John White says, yes, Chris Porter was on that Auburn team.
There we go.
From my understanding, Mamadou Ndiaye has resigned his position at UCF. So that is where that came from. He is no longer an assistant coach there. The expectation is wherever Mamadou Ndiaye lands is where you can expect Mustafa Cham to land. Where would there possibly be a deeper connection there? Because there's always a tie, right? When these things happen, there's always a tie. I started doing some digging over the weekend when this became something that looked possible. And it didn't take long. It took me back to the 2014 through 16 staff at Georgia Tech. Mamadou Ndiaye was on that staff. Also on that staff, Chad Dow. So, these are two guys that have worked together for a couple seasons, have known each other for over a decade. There is an opening because Drew Adams is gone on the Cincinnati staff. Do I think there is a possibility that Mamadou Ndiaye joins the Cincinnati staff? Yes, I think that is a possibility. Do I think it is a done deal? No. Why? Because the portal is fucking crazy. And I imagine there are other schools out there that have had the same thought. If I can get one, I can get the other. And our team desperately needs a center. And we have been saving our pennies. We have been digging in the couch cushions for the best possible center available.
Yeah, let's not act like, we're the only ones that would be interested in a 7'2" sophomore that averaged 12 points a game in Big 12 play.
Big 12 play, yeah. 12-7 in Big 12 play.
Yeah. Connections make deals, that's for sure. Relationships are more important than anything. Almost more important than anything in this world, which is cash. So
cash money. Boom, 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 boom.
Now, I would say though that this particular relationship is more interesting than others because it's not just a player that maybe has a connection to someone on your staff. Like the Chad Dollar, Mamadou Ndiaye, and then UC needing to hire someone makes this a little bit different. Like, I don't know how many other high major programs are still looking to add a coach and how many of them have a connection to Mamadou Ndiaye because, we know it. How often do coaches just hire people that they have no connection to?
Right.
And Wes, going into such a critical year, would certainly not be doing that. So while he doesn't maybe necessarily have the connection to NJ. He's had Chad Dollar on staff the whole time. He's going to at least look at that situation maybe closer to others. And the fact that he maybe will bring along a player that happens to play the same position that the Bearcats critically need might, put some more chips on that side of the table for wanting to hire someone that you haven't worked with, but, you're probably like, I don't really care. I need to get this dude. He's got a relationship with my coach, assuming it's still a good one. I mean, we can't just assume that they're buddies or whatever. I don't know.
I have no indication that there's anything in that territory.
Right, but I'm just putting out all options.
I'm adding information from my end. I don't believe there's any issues.
I mean, he went into the portal with the do not contact tag, like we've talked about. That seems to be at this point of the portal more of like I'll contact the people I want to contact versus I know where I'm going.
I think it's case to case, but
right. But I think we're seeing it shift more that direction than before. It was like 2 years ago, it was automatic. Like this guy already knows where he's going. Now I don't think it's automatic.
Right.
So I guess www.bearcatjournal.com.
There are a lot of reasons to think this is one to pay heavy attention to. Do I think it is near the finish line or across the finish line? No. Do I think there's a reasonable chance it can get there? Yeah. So that's kind of where we're at. I know there are people out there that think it's done. And, maybe my people are closer to the situation and hedging their bets, which is what happens a lot in this industry when you're trying to get something across the finish line. You don't want anybody to know your distance to the finish line.
Right.
But adding it's actually funny because Chris said, I can't think of a more extreme opposite than Aziz and Jalen. I can't think of a more similar in terms of, body and impact, although Cham is 5 years younger than Aziz. So like you're getting Aziz's little brother, basically, and the little brother is usually better than the big brother, right? That's usually how that goes.
Not in my family.
Sometimes. Not but athletic families. Because the big brother punks the little brother a lot.
Yeah, it's true.
So then the little brother gets tough and is a little better. But it would give us a fun continued storyline, Dave, of going out and finding a guy that you played in a postseason tournament and bringing him in. Aziz, and then Connor Hickman last year. And then Chiam maybe this year.
Yep. We shall see. There's like you said, there are reasons to be hopeful, but nothing at this stage that I would say like this is going to happen.
Right. And, we are, if you are familiar with us, we are usually a little bit more on the conservative side because I don't know if, how many of you have figured this out, but I really, really like being right. But I hate being wrong even more than I like being right. It gets used against us a lot. If and when we have, in the rare occasion that we have been wrong. So we are going to be a little bit more cautious with others that maybe are, I don't know, hiding behind a screen name or using a burner account.
Well, I mean,
they can be a little more fast and loose.
What, like, I guess my thinking on this type of thing for a long time has been like, what tangible thing do we gain by being first, even if we're right?
Yeah.
Other than other people maybe going in a tweet like such and such happened, Bearcat Journal had it first. Like, who cares? Like,
Right.
You know, I've never, we're not in the new, like we're not really in the news breaking industry. We're not an
We
Adam,
will.
we're not, yeah, we will, but like we're not an Adam Schefter or a Ian Rappaport or whoever you want to say. Like, it's not, that's not what we do. We're a fan website. So, if we get some nuggets, and now it's probably going the way of college sports is going the way of pro sports, where the local beat or the local teams don't break it because there's so many agents involved, and the agents do favor, the agents and the newsbreakers are the ones doing favors for each other, so they're giving them, the scoops. It's like the guys that cover the Bengals aren't breaking free agent stuff. It's the guys that work for ESPN or NFL Network that are doing the breaking.
Right. Let's say this does happen. Do we move Big Slime to the 4? I really don't like him at the 4. I think you would need another forward.
Well,
I don't think you want.
It's kind of like we said, it's matchups, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're playing Houston, I think you can get away with it a little bit, playing them at the same time. If you're playing BYU,
I think also,
then no, probably not. But
it does work both ways, though, Dave. Like, if you're playing a team that's smaller,
right,
and you've got two guys that can actually catch the ball in the post and score, and also be able to play out top and run like a lot of the high ball screen, dribble handoff stuff that they do, and be anything more of a threat than Aziz was out there, because Aziz was essentially, you didn't have to guard him out there. Like, there are some advantages that if you played those two offensively together, you would be giving up a little bit on the defensive end. You would probably be gaining on the offensive end, because smaller teams would have a very difficult time if those two giant humans were on the floor at the same time.
For sure.
So there's different ways to look at it, but
and I would just say, like, Big Slime, he's not going to play more than 20-something minutes a game anyway. So
right, and probably neither is Cham if you add him.
Right, so they can split time at the 5, and you can also play Slime at the 4 a little bit to get his minutes up a little bit, depending on opponent or just the situation. So, I mean, I just want to throw this out there because I just want to make sure we're on the same page. Like, I don't even know the guy's name. I don't think I'll call him his real name ever. It's just going to be Slime or Big Slime or Big or like, what is his name?
Jalen Haynes.
Okay, that'll be like, I don't think I've used it once.
No, it's just Big Slime. Like, I don't know. Why would you call him anything else?
I don't know either. But like, for anybody new joining the pod, they're going to be like, they might be like, who's this Big Slime guy they keep talking about?
Yeah, Jalen Haynes. He was at George Mason. He's a very good player for George Mason. He was first team All A-10. I like that. If you're going to go get a mid-major guy, or, go get a first team all mid-major guy. Don't be going for second and third team all conference mid-major guys. Go get the guys that were the best of the best in that conference. And he was one of the best of the best in a solid A-10 this year. So, yeah. I mean, how many cases of Cincy Light do I need to buy to secure Cham? All of them, Jordan. Just go to your local Kroger and or go to the Rheingeist brew house, the the brewery and just tell them to load up a pallet or two of cases of Cincy Light. 50 cents a beer. Or just, go to the Holy Grail every day after work and stay until close. And drink all of them you can. I think that's about all I've got for basketball at the moment, which is great because, coming into this show, I didn't know if we'd have 20 minutes of basketball. So
we'd have a little Jalen Haynes talk. There you go. I used it once. But other than that, I don't know what else there really would have been to talk about.
We would have the Celestine, I think.
That's true.
However, I think you would have that.
There's a lot of Jalen's.
Yeah, well, that's the other reason Big Slime is just Big Slime.
Yeah.
If there's two Jalen's, then you need one Big Slime.
I mean, I already cheer for a team that has two Jalen Williams on it. I mean, that's pretty much impossible. I don't know how you do that with like a 15-man basketball team. Draft two guys with the exact same name, spelled differently. But, let's get some people with different names so I can at least keep them all straight.
You don't have any Nicos to deal with, though.
Not anymore.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that in a little bit. So there you go. That is the basketball conversation for now. Stay tuned. If there's a commitment, we'll do everything we can to go live. Whether it be,
there's going to be more. They still got to add probably 3, maybe 4 more guys.
I mean, if you look at it numbers wise, Dave, Jizzle, Day, Tillery, Creasa, Harris in the backcourt. And then Big Slime, McKinley, Halveen in the front court.
It's 8.
And Abayev
on the wing.
That's 9.
Is that 8 or 9?
That's 9.
9.
So
I would say 3.
12?
Yeah, 3. I mean, another wing, another big, and another guy that can shoot. And I don't care what position he plays. Can he shoot?
Yeah. From what I know, they're not looking at guards. Like guards aren't really in the picture anymore. Which Chom's a 30% 3-point shooter. I don't think you're like it's good for a 7'2" guy.
Yeah.
Any Betsy news? You guys have got to let go that guys are coming back. They're not coming back, and when they leave, I don't really cover them anymore.
No.
I cover UC. I have so much bandwidth. If I get news on guys that left, I will share it. But once they enter the transfer portal, they are no longer really on the priority list. There's only so much that I can accomplish in a day, and chasing around things that aren't going to impact UC become pretty secondary on the to-do list. So, Tyler, I guess, visited Utah. That's about the best I got. If you would have given me 50 guesses, Dave, I probably would not have guessed Josh Reed to Penn State. I probably would have guessed everybody. I would have guessed 50 names, and I don't think Penn State would have been one of them. So,
sure,
Baylor Dan makes sense. Like, he was really good against Baylor, and Baylor doesn't have a team. So
they got a lot of they got a full checkbook. The checking account
1.2 for Dan is it's more than I would have paid if that's the real number.
Yeah,
it's more than I would have paid. So yeah, they got 9.
I'm sure Dan will love Waco.
I'm sure he will. I bet they probably have good steakhouse in Waco. I would assume a lot of cows.
A lot of cow. For some reason, it just reminds me of Ocean's 11 when they're out by the pool and he's talking to men. You do well in Provo to Saul. It's like it just seems like such a whatever. I don't want to talk. I don't need to talk about him anymore. He's not a Bearcat. You said you don't have the capacity. I don't have the shit to give.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's my job to cover stuff, but there's only so much.
As soon as you leave the program, you are instantly unfollowed on Twitter and out of my mind forever.
I'm kind of like, I know these guys, especially the basketball guys, a handful of football.
I'm not hoping that they have anything bad happen to them, but
but I'm just not. I'm not spending my time chasing down info on that stuff.
Yeah,
that's whoever is covering the team that they're going to. That becomes their job.
Well, did Smoke ask you to come on to tell them what kind of player they were getting?
No, I haven't heard from those guys in a while. I think they might have had a falling out with 24/7 because they're, not affiliated. I think there might have been a falling out there, so they don't really reach out to me anymore. Ooh. Or they didn't want to hear what I had to say about Baylor Dan. One of the two. I saw one of their team sites was touting him as a defensive stopper.
No, come on.
I swear to God.
If there's ever a sign that you've literally never watched 5 seconds of Bearcat basketball, there's your sign. Defensive stopper.
Let me see if I can go back and.
There was, like, when he first entered the portal, there was a West Virginia person that I follow that was like, because Kirk Reese is coming to UC. He's like, West Virginia could do the funniest thing. And I was like, yeah, it would be funny, all right, for us.
Here you go. From the Baylor 24/7 site. Rolling into Waco with a 7'2" wingspan, Skillings is a highly talented defensive player with the skills to guard the best player on the court. As long as you don't set a screen to get in his way.
Well, the guy wasn't wrong. He has the skills to guard the best player on the court. He just can't use those skills in that type of way.
Right.
Or at least to this point, hasn't shown the ability to.
Maybe he puts it all together. I hope he does. I like Dan. I wish him well. All right, let's timestamp. Turtles Brew, 6% ABV, 0 sugar, 0 carbs, gluten-free. It's a bourbon-infused sweet tea. They have lemonade tea. They have strawberry mint, cherry lime, raspberry peach, orange vanilla. There's over 50 locations in Cincinnati and more than 100 around the state of Ohio. If you're looking, it's a great spring drink, warm you up with the bourbon. It's also a great summer drink by the pool. So it's almost pool season. So get you some Turtles Brew. All you got to do, go to turtlesbrew.com for more information and the location nearest you. We'll do Spring Showcase first, Dave, since you were there. You've got thoughts. You didn't have Will with you. Nope. So you had a little bit more viewing capacity this time around. And then we'll get into the portal for football a little bit later. But Dave, what were your overall thoughts on the Spring Showcase, which wasn't a scrimmage, but was a whole lot of 11 on 11? I don't know what. It wasn't a scrimmage, but it was a whole lot of 11 on 11.
I mean, they ran 76 plays, but didn't scrimmage. So, I enjoyed it. It was a lovely day at Nippert Stadium. I obviously need to shout out my friends at the Republic of Cincinnati. I had a couple ice-cold Cincy Lights with them prior to the Spring Showcase, which put me in a good mood. And I thought it was fun. What I would call the front line or marquee Bearcats virtually did not participate. Out of 76 plays. If you told me Brendan Sorsby was in for more than 20, I would be surprised. Same for Joe Royer. Don't even believe Dante Corleone.
Dave, is your VPN
thought
going?
that, yeah, I think we're good now. Offensively, so
we're not good. We're not good.
It should be good.
Well, your face is frozen and your voice sounds like Max Headroom.
I don't know what's on. Am I okay?
Your voice is back. Your face is just now coming back.
Oh, okay. Hopefully it gets better. I don't know
Now
what's going on. Well, defensively, I feel like the spine of the defense. So, Dante, Jalen Hunt, to the linebackers, like in the bed, but I'll just keep talking just in case it's working.
It's really not.
Tate Barnes.
How about this, Dave?
Flash.
You pause for a minute, and we'll let Aaron come in.
I thought he had a nice.
Bowling Green's ESPN Plus team is producing Dave's broadcast tonight.
What's up, Aaron?
What's up? This has been quite a segment. This second segment has been.
As soon as I said, Dave, take it away, it all went to shit.
Yeah.
Oh, do we got him back?
Maybe. Nope. He's gone.
Nope.
All right.
Gone. What'd you think about the spring showcase, Aaron?
Well, I gave my thoughts Monday and last night, actually, with George. It was the weather was fantastic. I think I got a little sunburned actually, which I'm here for. Love that. It's been far too long. I don't know I like getting to see the young guys and especially the guys on defense. Because it didn't seem like many guys were sitting out on defense. Of course, you had Dante out, but we got to see a lot of the big question marks have been at secondary, and we got to see a lot of the secondary. We got to see a lot of different levels of the secondary. We got to see new guys. We got to see the guys who have transitioned to new positions. Got to see just a lot of reps from a lot of different guys out there on defense. Same thing with some of the question marks on offense, the backup tight ends, got to see a lot of that. Receiver, we got to see a lot of different guys rotating in at receiver. And we got to see quite a bit of our backup quarterbacks in Samaj Jones especially. And I think you had to be encouraged by what you saw from the progression at pretty much all of those positions I just mentioned, between quarterback and running back and receiver and tight end. There's been a lot of growth there from new guys and from transfers.
Hello.
There we go.
I was just filibustering for you.
Everything was fine. I don't know why. Whatever.
As soon as I said, immediately I was like, "Take it away, Dave," and you froze. Like 1 second. Let's start over.
Okay. Well,
go ahead.
From the very beginning, or
yeah, they didn't get any of that.
Okay, so I'll just start with spine of the defense. I think I'm feeling good about Dante, Jalen Hunt, linebackers, safeties. I've been impressed with the safeties. Tate Barnes had a nice interception on the sideline. You've written about him several times throughout the spring. Xavier Williams is an imposing dude. Xavier Williams.
Williams. Yeah.
Xavier Williams, imposing dude for safety, like pretty big guy, 6'2", 6'3", 200 plus pounds. We know what Antoine Peak Jr. is. So I feel comfortable in that. So like up the middle, I'm feeling pretty good about the defense. It's not something that we'll get in. It's not something that we were going to get answered in the spring. So you still have to have some level of question about like who's getting after the passer. And then that is going to run hand in hand with the corners. Now, in the 76 play scrimmage, with a lot of backups, so we're not talking about like against Rocco Beck or anybody, but
it was a showcase, Dave, not a scrimmage.
Whatever, that's right. 3 interceptions. I think there were 5 interceptions in however many hundreds of plays the defense was on the field all of last year. So if we extrapolate that out, I'm hopeful that whether it's the players, whether it's the technique, that they will get their hands on more passes and more interceptions, but that again will work in conjunction with pressure. And again, we really weren't going to get an answer on that in the spring. We'll get a better answer on that in the fall, but it's not, it's not something that you're going to really know too much about in the spring. What else? Defensively, I know you talked about it. I've talked about it in the past. You talked about it recently. Like, I just think this defense is going to be, I won't even go as far as saying like better than what people think, but I have some confidence in Tyson Veit. I would love, when the spring is officially over, I would love to get the 2 new secondary coaches on the show if we could, because I have some questions I would like to ask them about technique and scheme and how do you go about generating more turnovers, especially interceptions, being that the last 2 years that was such an issue. Offensively, I've talked about the running back room. Super excited about the running back room. I think you have a little bit of everything. I think Evan Pryor has taken a step from what we saw last year. I think Tyree Walker is I'm not going to call him a spitting image to Corey Kiner, but like those 2 dudes are pretty damn similar in the way they go about running the football. Yeah. Manny Covey's going to get some touches. We'll see about Ja'Carry Coffey carried the ball probably more than anybody did in the showcase, and then we'll see what they can get from Zion Johnson in the fall. But I like that a lot, and I did notice, and you can elaborate on this because you've been there every day. I've seen him twice. One practice that did have some scrimmaging elements to it, and then Saturday. It felt like, to me, the stuff that I've seen, pretty much every big run outside of the one Tyree Walker run when I was there a couple weeks ago has been really big holes right up the middle. Which bodes very well for Gavin Gerhardt and your replacements at guard for Dontarian Tinsley and Luke Kandra. I'm not saying that as like the guys on the outside aren't doing a good job, but I want to see that more than I want to see like toss sweeps that get broken for runs, because that tells me that we can just line up and run the ball right up the middle.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Corleone has not practiced a ton, and Cam Rutherford is out, so he was going to be the primary backup inside. So you're dealing with guys that are a little further down the depth chart, but that has been predominantly when like we have just seen a back come flying through the line of scrimmage into space and then down the field for big runs. And where I definitely agree with you is that also is what sets up those outside runs that go for big gains, because now they're bringing guys into the box and they're having to do what they can to stop you from gashing them up the middle. And that's when you can bust the outside stuff,
Right.
when they're not exactly in their base,
Even without Dante and Cam, though, to me, it's not like you have 2 fifth-year senior guards that have started 30 games.
Sure.
So it's encouraging that the guys that are getting, Terrence has played a bunch of football, so I'm not as surprised by
Worried.
that.
Yeah.
But I don't even know. Who has been kind of taking the first reps at left?
Left guard?
Yeah.
Mostly Tengastal.
Okay. That's what I assumed, but I'm not one to I know you always do that. I'm more watching the play than who's actually out there. But I've been happy with where that element of the game is. And I would say, you guys have talked a ton about Jeff Caldwell. I'm very excited about the tight ends. We know what Royer is. Grover has flashed. He had a touchdown in the spring event. And I'm not gonna say he's gonna play this year.
But
Kamari Smith is a dude.
He looks really good.
He was a dude in high school. They just didn't really throw the ball at Wayne. And my buddy coaches at Springboro, and so they've played against them. And it's been more of a collection of athletes than a football team over the last couple of years. Had a really nice contested catch in the red zone drill for a touchdown. DB was right there all over him. Had to go low to get it. Right in front of me, too. It was great. I happened to be on that end when they started to do red zone, and everything was coming to the corner that I was standing in, so I was right there. You guys wrote about him again today. We'll see, but
look, what do I always say about these practices? I do not take much from any individual practice, but over 15 practices, when you keep going back to, it starts out with you write them down the first day, and then you write them down the third day, and then the fourth day, and then the sixth day. And on the seventh day, you're like, am I writing down Kamari Smith as much as it feels like I'm writing down Kamari Smith? And then you get to the 10th day and the 12th day and the 14th day, and you're still writing down Kamari Smith quite a bit. That jumps out to me. Because that is not he made a great catch on day 3, but I haven't noticed him in 5 days.
Yeah, I think they have a really nice complementary room. You have Joe Royer that is the two-way tight end. He can be in line and block. He can be in line and go out for a pass. He can split out wide. I think going into the season, we'll see about his blocking. I think Gavin Grover is the prototypical big-bodied outside tight end. I think Devin Zahersky is the prototypical inline blocker / receiver guy. I think Patrick Gerd is a more dynamic version of Francis Sherman. I think he is primarily going to be that H-back lined up in the backfield or attached and coming in motion, but I think he will surprise maybe a little bit as a pass catcher. And then you have Kamari Smith, and you just kind of see if he forces his way onto the field. I think it'll be hard because I think the other 4 guys have pretty obvious ways that they can help the team. And you have to ask, okay, if I put him out there, I'm taking 1 or 2 of them off. Are we better with him out there for X number of plays a game, X number of games in a season? So maybe it doesn't pan out, but certainly from what I watched and what you guys have talked about and written about, he's definitely going to be putting himself in a position to make them have to decide that.
The crazy thing, like, he's not super long. He's not super like he's not a dynamic athlete. I don't think he's a good athlete, but like he's not a freak athlete.
Well, no, he's not 6'7" like Grover. He's not super fat. He's whatever 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", somewhere in that range probably. He's going to be undersized. He's a high schooler. I mean, he's an early enrollee, so he's certainly not going to be out there pushing Oklahoma State defensive ends around or whatever,
right.
More than likely, but it's an intriguing guy.
For sure. He can catch the football. He runs good routes and he catches the football. I like both of those things.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Other than that, I think the overall passing game on Saturday was kind of whatever,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say anything really jumped out to me. But again, it was a lot of young guys, a lot of second and third teamers. So I would say more the thoughts of the whole spring versus just that day. Because, 70 plays with Sorsby Royer, Jeff Caldwell, Tony Johnson, and Caleb Goody wasn't out there. Tony Johnson wasn't out there. So, I think the receiver room is deeper. I think it's faster. We'll see if it's better.
That's going to be the $1 million question. I think they're going to be able to run the ball. I, like you, really think that the defense is going to be good. I don't think they're going to be great, but I think they're going to be good. I think they're going to be able to keep most everybody in check.
I think they'll be good, and if they can get pressure on the quarterback, they can be pretty darn good. I won't go as far as to say great. I think they can be a top 30-ish, 35 defense.
Yeah.
If they can get pressure on the quarterback and force some, give the ball back to the offense some more.
Yeah, it's been a double-edged sword. We've had a situation where the DBs weren't great in coverage, and it impacted the play calling, and they didn't have anybody that just naturally, one-on-one, could beat their man to the quarterback. And when you do that, and you let the quarterback hang out in the pocket, you're playing at the Power 5 level. Guys are going to get open, and quarterbacks are going to find them. That's just the reality of the last 2 years of defense. I think the secondary is a lot better. I really like McDoom. I have been impressed with what I've seen from Logan Wilson at corner this spring. If you asked me, I think those are the two guys that are your starters at corner. And then safety is fascinating to me, Dave, because I think you're going to be able to kind of mix and match there depending on what you're playing. Mm-hmm. I think they finally got some versatility at safety where it's not just here's our 3 guys and, we're going to do what we can with them. I think you can, we're playing a team that likes to run. We're going to bring Xavier Williams in and we're going to let him play a little closer to the box and be a thumper. Or, we're playing a team that likes to pass. We're going to feature Taden Barnes a little bit more and let him have an opportunity to make plays in space and make plays on the ball. You've got a lot of options at that star position. And, Marcavius Sabor was out the entire spring. He is expected to be back or close to back by the time camp starts, from what I've heard. And then
Sanks was out.
Sanks was there for a little over half. Yeah. And then he just got a little dinged up. It wasn't anything crazy. But I think he'll be back. And then you've got Peak that's played a ton of football now. You add Harrison into that mix. There's a lot of bodies, a lot of versatility in that safety room that they just didn't have last year.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would say he had a solid season. I wouldn't say he had a great one, but like when Josh Minkins got hurt,
Yeah, that room fell off.
Dropped off pretty significantly.
Yeah.
I mean, Tatum Barnes is in that. I mean, there's a lot of guys that are going to be able to mix and match, depending on what the other team likes to do.
And that's something I'm getting this because the two deep it's a lot more difficult to do in the spring, especially with one, as many new guys, and two, with the number of guys that they hold out precautionarily, or a guy's got something that's going to keep him out for a couple weeks. They're not going to risk it. They're going to be more careful with it. And then they're running this pod system on defense where you don't really ever get a great look at like this is our first group, send them out there. This is our second group, send them out there. So I had a good long talk with Vite today after practice for the 2 deep article that'll be next week. I'll do one offensive article and one defensive article on the 2 deep. And he talked a good deal about that. And like, we're in a position now where we can be a little bit more scheme specific. We can be a little bit more game plan specific on, it's not just a static, these are the guys that are going to be out there no matter what. It's, if you're trying to do this, we can do that. If we're trying to force you into this, we can, I think that gives him a lot more flexibility. So, yeah. Football portal. We've talked about this a little bit.
High cotton.
That is priority, obviously, clearly number one. As you saw, as soon as the portal opened today, there was a lot of talk about it. He had announced his intention to enter the portal, last week, the week before, something like that.
You want to say who you're talking about?
Oh, go ahead. You said Cotton. Joe Cotton.
Joe Cotton from South Dakota.
He is, I know somebody this staff has liked for a long time. And now that he's in the portal, they get a chance to recruit him. That's one of the things that, when you're trying to do this the way that they're doing it, you're watching a lot of who are the best teams at the FCS level, what's the tape say on, this team that's really good, that might not be at the highest level of the sport, but they're going to have some guys that are really good. So you're watching tape on these teams all the time. I think this is a guy that caught their eye. Now they get a chance to recruit him. It looks, we'll see how this plays out. It looks like a Cincinnati-Wisconsin battle, at least on the surface early.
Not if they don't let him leave campus.
As it was reported that he will visit those two schools. Pretty much, 30-something D1 team or Power 5 teams already.
That's as many logos as they could fit in that graphic. I guarantee you more than that have reached out there.
Right. I would guarantee most of the Power 5 has reached out to this young man. But you get a big swing at him, you've got an open spot. Like, that is,
they said, they've made no bones about it that, I don't know how much, but they've held money back for this.
Well,
I won't go as far as say this particular person.
No, but they had money for a left tackle in the winter portal. And they didn't find, I think they had somebody in mind that they wanted that they ended up not being able to get. And they didn't have anybody else that fit the mold that they were looking for. So they did the smart thing, Dave. They didn't just immediately go to somebody that they thought was not as good, wasn't going to be able to live up to what they were looking for, and give that guy the money. And they said, we'll wait until the spring. And we're going to take the biggest swing we can in the spring. And I think he's by far like the number one offensive lineman that's gone in so far.
He's 24/7's third ranked player in the portal. And he should be second because the guy that they have number one has no business being number one.
We'll get to that. So if you're wondering, look, We just talked about it in basketball with Mustafa Chiam, who is going to be one of the. I've seen him as a top 20 player in the portal. I might even have him higher than that, just on what he can be. Top 20 player in the portal on what he already is, but then on what he can be as a younger guy that was supposed to be a senior in high school. They're taking a big swing there. The football team is taking a massive swing with Joe Cotton.
Yeah, they have some interest in, apparently, again, according to, I believe, Chris Hummer, 247 Sports. I don't have the gentleman's name in front of me, but defensive lineman from Central Michigan. They were one of a handful of teams that he listed had reached out already first thing, which is, again, not a surprise. We said offensive line, defensive line, and I think maybe linebacker. I'm not sure how much of that is more of a.
So I have that answer.
It'd be nice, but we want to get. We would much if we got to spend the bucks on O-line, D-line, and that takes care of it. Then that takes care of it.
So at linebacker, I think, from my understanding, like they're happy with this year's linebacker core.
Oh, it's certainly for next year. It would be a play to get someone we think is good that we want now, but for next year.
Yes, because that you're probably not going to come in and jump ahead of Golday and Dingle and
Jonathan
Thompson,
right?
And Simeon Coleman and Monte Whedon. There's a lot that they like in the first six guys.
You're replacing three veteran dudes after this year. So, yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I think they would be looking for at linebacker is somebody that can come in and this year play special teams, be a depth piece, get on the field a little bit, and then be ready for what will be, a pretty drastic change in the linebacker room next year without having to rely entirely on next portal to fill the linebacker room.
Right, because you want a guy that's in your system for a year if you're then going to elevate him versus a guy that's never been in your system and now he's going to be a starter.
Yeah, and Brian Sims, I got to mention him. I think he's the heir apparent in the middle. So, yeah. I don't know much else. I unless they just see something they can't resist at wide receiver or defensive back, maybe with Jordan Robinson leaving, they look to add a corner, but I think they're really happy with like Daniel James and Willie Goodwin and Gravy Johnson being, the depth pieces there. We just talked about how deep they are, how versatile they are at safety.
Daniel James had a nice PBU in the spring showcase.
From my conversation today, I think he's going to be on my 2D. So
nice developing crossing route, hung in the hip pocket of the receiver and batted the ball away when it got there.
I like him and Goodwin and Gravy. I think those three guys have a lot of potential going forward. So yeah, let's timestamp that. That's football talk brought to you by Turtles Brew. 0 sugar, 0 carbs, gluten-free, 6% ABV. It's a bourbon-infused sweet tea. Great in the winter, great in the summer, great pool drink. It comes in the plastic bottles that look like the sweet tea bottles, but it also comes in the adult pouches, adult Capri Suns, if you will. They have lemonade tea, strawberry mint, cherry lime, raspberry peach, orange vanilla. More than 50 locations in greater Cincinnati, over 100 in and around the state of Ohio. All you got to do to find out where you can pick up Turtles Brew is go to turtlesbrew.com for more information and the location nearest you.
One other quick little football thing before we shift. Bearcats did get a commitment in the 2026 class today.
Yes.
Out of Detroit. We have info all over the board. Allen, is it True? Is that how you pronounce his last name?
Yeah, I think so.
He has a good article up for us about a little bit more detail on the commit, just basically starting football a year or two ago. And so comments from his coach. And I'll just say wouldn't be a surprise if he's not the only commit this week.
Yeah. Keep your eyes peeled. We'll be there. BearcatJournal.com again.
At Bearcat Journal on your social media platforms.
Yeah, guy that runs that's all right.
He's a loose cannon. He's a loose cannon. He might be busy with. I hope it doesn't happen at night. He'll be busy with something else this weekend.
Forget Easter. Dave's got wrestling. Dave, let's talk about Nico.
Sure. What do you want to know?
Iamaleavin, did I say that right? No?
Yeah, I guess. I think so.
You don't even care anymore?
Not really.
The first situation of its kind in college football, our first quote-unquote holdout. A lot has been made of this, Dave. But to me, for those that don't know, quarterback at Tennessee, he signed out of high school an $8 million deal. He was the quarterback for a playoff team. He didn't have a great year, but he was the quarterback for a playoff team. And then I guess his dad decided that he was going to start searching around while they let Tennessee know that they were looking for more money.
Well, I think that's part of the problem is they didn't really let Tennessee know. Not that they had to or should have, but I don't, this whole situation, I mean, I've never once complained my entire life about what athletes make or what anyone makes, what actors make, what musicians make, what you are worth, what someone is willing to pay you. And it only takes one team or whatever to say that we feel this is your worth to us. I think just as I am a Tennessee fan, so I obviously know a little bit more than most and care a little bit more than most. It sounds like from all indications, he was slated to make $2.4 million. And he's been supposedly searching for $4 million. Now, I can imagine he wasn't asking Tennessee for $4 million, or if he did, they laughed because he certainly didn't play $4 million worth of football last year. He had 19 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, and they didn't score a point in the first half of 3 games. That's not all on him. But you also had a really damn good running back in Dylan Sampson and some pretty good receivers. Could have been better, but pretty good receivers. Dealt with some injuries. But I think the problem is, from their standpoint, is not that he wanted more money. I mean, tons of these guys have asked for more money. It's that he now, and again, I've heard that he no-showed last Friday's practice, leading into their spring game on Saturday. I cannot verify this, but I heard that was not anywhere near the first practice over the last calendar year that he's no-showed. That is the part that I think became the tipping point of we're just not going to deal with this anymore. Not that he was asking for more money. That and supposedly, again, his dad, his agent, shopping him around behind Tennessee's back, where apparently it got to the point where Dan Lanning told Josh Heupel that that they're shopping him around. And again, got to the point where it sounds like the players essentially said, this guy ain't coming back. Because how could he? Like,
right.
You the only way he would be coming back is if you gave him more money. So what signal does that send to the rest of your roster that this guy who was good, but it wasn't like he was a Heisman Trophy candidate, is essentially holding us hostage and didn't show up to practice, didn't tell anybody he wasn't going to be at practice, and then we're just going to give him more money and then have him come back. Like, there's no way you could do that to the rest of your locker room. Now, I know a lot of Tennessee fans are taking the angle of good riddance, but I'm kind of doing that while at the same time going, hey guys, we got to play football in 4.5 months. Who the fuck is our quarterback going to be? Like, let's at least see what happens. I mean, you can tell me all you want. You like a couple of the guys on the roster. They're freshmen, like, or redshirt freshmen. Like, we're just going to roll into the season in the SEC with that. So I'm pumping the brakes a little bit more than I think some are. Just saying, like, okay, show me who the quarterback is, because they certainly tried to contact some quarterbacks around the country. I know I saw Josh Hoover, I guess, or TCU, or someone associated with TCU had to put out a statement that they, weren't interested. There were rumors floating around that, which I thought was hilarious. There were rumors floating around today that they were in Tampa. And who lives in Tampa? Rocco Beck. And I'm like, that's great. Rocco Beck lives in Tampa. He's in the middle of spring practice at Iowa State. What the hell are you doing in Tampa? So there's a lot of nonsense floating around there, but I'm glad that they stuck to their guns on that element of it. It certainly it sounds like he's going to go to UCLA, which is very interesting because his brother decommitted from UCLA right before signing day last year. And now his side is using Colin Cowherd and some other people as mouthpieces to carry their water and essentially say that it's not about the money, it's about the offense. The offense averaged almost 36 points a game last year, and if he goes to UCLA, he'll be playing for an offensive coordinator who's never called a play in his life.
Right.
So, like, again, this all just kind of points back to his team, or whatever you want to call them, just not handling this in any way, shape, or form in a way that
his dad
puts the kid in a good situation. Well, he's dad, and he's got an agent too, who also works in wrestling, or did. Whoever it is, if they're doing no favors to the kid, that's the thing. Is like, I'm sure he didn't really want to leave Tennessee. I'm sure he didn't go to his dad and be like, Dad, get me more money.
Why don't we screw everything up and cost me $750,000 next year?
Oh, it's gonna cost him more than that. If he gets $1 million, I'll be stunned.
The number tonight floating around is 1.7.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the number, then good for him. I feel like that's a situation where if I'm the team, I'm like, who am I bidding against? Like, if he does go to UCLA, who am I competing with that I got to give him 1.7?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but I'm just throwing out there the number that is going around.
Right, but I mean,
1.7.
that's the thing. None of this is helping him, and that's the sad part about it. The dude's 19, 20, 21 years old, and it's a bad situation for him.
There is literally nothing, and maybe the agents now take the cake on this. There is nothing a coaching staff hates more than a parent like that. Because the parent who, in their eyes, is trying to do what's best for their child, but in the eyes of a coach and a team, is doing nothing but like pulling at the fabric of any culture that you're trying to build.
Well, it says that no matter what you do, it's never going to be good enough. We're always going to be angling for something potentially better.
Right. I'm always going to be hustling you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always going to be a thorn in your side, a pain in your ass, like at all times. And that, like North Carolina's name popped up.
Yeah, like Bill was going to mess with his dad.
Never a chance in hell. Never.
You know you're down bad when like Tulane is saying like we have zero interest.
Tulane, who lost their quarterback to the portal and is in desperate need of a quarterback, is like, nah. I don't think it, like, money aside, I think there are just coaches that are like, not doing it.
No.
Not doing it. I'm not bringing that into my locker room. I'm not introducing that into my culture that I've, worked hard to build. Letting this guy's dad come in and dictate how things work.
I mean, and I can say this because I know it. Like, they haven't won at the level of the Georgias and the Ohio States and the Alabamas. Tennessee football and Tennessee athletics, just in general, has the best of everything in the country. I would put all of their, maybe Oregon aside, just because of, the Phil Knight angle. I would put everything that they have at their athletes' disposal up against any other school. And it wasn't good enough. Their NLI is as high as anybody else. Their alumni donations are as high as anybody else. Their facilities, their infrastructure, everything is as good as anybody in the country, and it wasn't good enough. You want that in your program?
Right. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. And they're just like, I see everybody talking about like the way that this is going to be like a trend, like, it's going to start a trend in college sports. If anything, it's going to start a trend the other way. Like, we have one example of this, and the dude cost himself $750,000.
And he's going from Tennessee to UCLA potentially.
Right.
Like, one school gets everything and has 110,000 people at every game. The other school plays 30 miles away from their campus and has tarps on the bleachers.
It's not great, Bob.
Like, money aside, where would you rather be than right here, right now? Like,
right.
Whatever. I mean,
it's in part because they've let this thing go unchecked.
right.
But guys hold out in the NFL. You don't see it as much in baseball, but like there's holdouts at every level of professional sports where somebody thinks they've outplayed their value and they want more.
That's the thing. I mean, we know it here in Cincinnati because Jamar Chase did a hold in last training camp. You just said guys have outplayed their value. We're yet to see where the Trey Hendrickson thing goes. Nico Iamaleavin didn't outplay his value. His dad was just looking to hold Tennessee over a barrel.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like he was like, my kid just threw 28 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, and you should pay him more because he's going to be a headline player in all of college football this year. That's not what was happening.
I would guess, Dave, they didn't think in a million years Tennessee was going to say kick rocks.
And they might have not have if you didn't handle this situation, the overall situation, as poorly as you did. But once you start bailing on your own teammates, then I don't think they had a choice.
I don't think they did either. I think they backed themselves into a corner.
Like, it's one thing to just show up and stand on the sidelines and go, guys, I'm just not playing. We're dealing with something else. I love it here. But, my representation in Tennessee are trying to work this out. To just not show up and not tell anybody that you were going to show up, weren't going to show up. I mean, what do you think they're going to do? What can they do? So
can't do a whole lot. Can't do a whole lot.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where the Vols go at quarterback.
Heard they've been making a lot of calls.
Yeah.
Baggage is not a professional trait. Oh, yes, it is, Sean. Baggage is one of the long-time professional traits. In professional sports, at least it is.
It's just how much baggage do you have weighed against how good of a player are you?
Right. And unfortunately, he wasn't a good enough player to have the type of baggage that he was slapping on the table.
So wish him the best.
I don't believe you.
I mean, I don't hope he. I'm never one to be like, I hope that guy has. I hope he achieves everything he wants to achieve. I have a feeling if I asked some people associated with the program that maybe they're not exactly heartbroken that he's not there anymore. Now they still have to hold up their end of the bargain and replace a starting caliber SEC quarterback.
Yes.
But I would guess that they are going to be like, we'll figure that part out. We're Tennessee. We got a whole bunch of money and we got 110,000 fans and we got Rocky Top. Like someone good will want to come play for us.
Well, they're also supposed to have a great offensive line, right?
That's the thing is they did all these things in the offseason to try to enhance his game as having a better offensive line and trying to be better at receiver. There's even with Dylan Sampson leaving, I don't know if they'll be as good at running back, but they have plenty of good running backs in Knoxville. Let's not kid ourselves.
Right. Anything else you want to hit on in the old college sports world right now?
One of the Lady Bearcats in the Big 12 Golf Championship had a hole-in-one today.
Nice.
I think they're in 8th or 9th, with very tight in the middle bunching of teams. Bearcat men, I think, are in the middle of a event right now too. Not Big 12 related. Theirs isn't until the next week or two.
Gotcha.
Oh, excuse me.
Tomorrow night, if you're a UC baseball fan, 9 p.m., the debut of the Road to Omaha podcast here on the Bearcat Journal Network. Not the debut of the podcast. That's been going on for a little while. Hosted by JP Sponseller, who is a former Bearcat, younger brother of Ty Sponseller, who played on the football team. Their dad has worked with the baseball program. So diehard Bearcat, great baseball podcast, Road to Omaha. Tomorrow night, 9 o'clock tomorrow night. Normally the time slot is going to be 8 o'clock, but because of Easter weekend, UC is playing West Virginia Thursday through Saturday. We're going to try to hold off.
Big series.
Number one in the Big 12, West Virginia. I think they've only got 4 losses on the season.
Sounds like the Bearcats are in that, just out of on the bubble right now. Schedule is backloaded to if they can win some of these series, that'll certainly help. So need to get some Big 12 wins going.
So yeah, that'll be exciting tomorrow. Really looking forward to it, to getting JP started here. And this is hopefully a podcast we're going to have on the network year round. He will do mostly UC stuff, but we'll also mix in some national stuff around the college baseball world. He's a guy that's connected in that and looking to grow his podcast. And I thought it'd be a great addition for Bearcat Journal. So we reached out. Aaron brought it up to me a couple of weeks ago, and I started paying a little bit more attention. And I think it's going to be a great fit for a night that we didn't have anything scheduled. So 9 o'clock tomorrow night, Road to Omaha previews here on the network. Other than that, that's about all I got. I gotta save my voice. I got radio for 3 hours tomorrow.
Are you in Friday too?
No, we've got the final practice.
Oh, okay.
of the spring.
I'm sure it'll be a big one.
I probably should have just done radio, but I didn't. And then I've got to get on the road down to Louisville for a volleyball tournament this weekend.
Watch. Oh, I do want to say one more thing before we get out of here.
The floor is yours, sir.
Is Scott Satterfield now a hat guy?
Yeah, he's Scott Hatterfield now.
Every time I've seen him, whether it's in person or on a video, hat guy.
Yeah, he said he retired the visor. He's a hat guy.
He said this publicly, like someone asked him if he's a hat guy.
I asked him the first day of spring because he had a hat on. What
did he say?
He said, "Yeah, I made the change. I'm a hat guy now." I don't know if there's tampering on Chloe Mann. I know she was a very talented player. She was very inefficient, and I think she shot 27% from the field as a freshman. Took a lot of shots, showed some talent, but I think they'll be okay.
So hat guy now. Maybe they'll turn our fortunes around. I've as someone who doesn't have a lot of hair, I've never been a visor guy.
Not a visor guy.
Outside of Steve Spurrier, I can't really think of a super successful visor coach.
So it's one of two.
I guess Kirby Smart's a visor guy, isn't he? So I guess I shouldn't say that.
Yeah.
But
Scott Hatterfield or Sat in the Hat.
There we go.
Sat in the Hat.
I mean, either one.
I think they were calling him internally Sat in the Hat, and I like Scott Hatterfield.
Did he say why? Because like he's only ever worn visors. So like why now 2025 version of Scott Satterfield?
The visor was not winning, Dave. Why do you think they do anything? The visor was not getting dubs. So he mixed it up and went to the hat.
Yeah.
Maybe the hat will get some dubs. You're a superstitious guy, right?
Sometimes.
That's something you'd try. Got to mix it up.
You do have to mix
if the
it up.
hats don't work, maybe he goes back to the visor.
I mean, I'm as a air quotes golfer. Like I think all golfers are some level of superstitious.
Yeah. So he went to the hat. We'll see if it results in wins or not.
I mean, I like the look. Some of those hats are pretty sweet. I like the Cincy one.
Yeah. They got a sweet hat collection down there.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's about it. Who you got in the main event Sunday night?
For some reason, I feel like it's going to be Rollins.
Well, that's Saturday night.
Oh.
Cody Rhodes, John Cena is Sunday night.
Probably Cena.
Get Aaron in here.
Cena wins it for now, and then at the end of the run, like you got to put the belt on Cena, right? You can't have him come back and not win the belt.
If you want
Cody Rhodes, Cody Rhodes.
I would love Cody to win, but I can't see it. I can't see it. I think this. Then what does Cena do? He just starts chasing.
Right.
Like,
I think you have to put the belt on him.
Cena gets it. He's like Cody. He's had it for a year. He goes back. He takes a little time off. Goes back to being a chaser, and then we get my guy CM Punk to get that belt off John Cena somewhere down the line. But
I agree.
Should be fun. We're talking 4 hours each night. It's going to be a lot.
Plus the 3-hour pre-show and the 2-hour.
2 hours, yeah, 18 hours of wrestling over Saturday and Sunday. Pre-show, event, post-show. So
there you go, Dave. Stone Cold surprise appearance retains the belt for life in WWE and forever.
Don't threaten me with a good Stone Cold time. I mean, you got the Hall of
Here's
Fame.
my
You got
question,
the Hall
Dave.
of Fame at 1 a.m. Eastern after SmackDown on Friday night.
Here's my question. Where does The Rock fit into all this?
Who cares?
Chad, Aaron and I could go on another hour just totally shitting on the way that they've built this whole thing out. The Rock having no part in it. Cena being there every 3 weeks. Like, the buildup has been an abject disaster. The event itself is going to be awesome. Like, the card is great. Both nights are going to be a lot of fun. The buildup has been dog shit, especially compared to last year, where you had like the last Raw before Mania last year. Rock is beating the hell out of Cody Rhodes, talking shit to his mom. And now this year, Rock and Cena are just nowhere to be found. I mean, it's been unbelievably whatever, but
Just get the part-timers out of here.
It'll still be a lot of fun. I'm sure they'll figure out some way to involve some people we're not expecting, like last year. I mean, who the hell thought The Undertaker was going to show up? So
yeah, last year was incredible.
And that's the thing.
They're going to try to run it back with Taker, aren't they?
No, I don't think so. Because last year they always do the 10s, like 10, 20, 30, 40, have always kind of been like the benchmark Manias. And last year's was just, I mean, it was almost perfect. And everybody's going to compare this year to last year, no matter how good this year is. And that's not fair because last year's was awesome. You were ending so many stories. This year feels almost like you're starting a bunch for the next 6 months to a year. So we'll see. Should be fun. I know mine and Aaron's guy Gunther's gonna be losing his belt. That's one thing we care about.
Yeet.
Yeah. On that note.
All right. That's Talking Wrestling. We'll see you next time. That's the BCJ podcast. Brought to you by the Holy Grail, live from the Cincy Light Studios, right here on BearcatJournal.com.